In terms of health, we're already 9% of Australia's GDP is spent, and that figure is rising every year. By 2030, it's projected Australia will experience biodiversity losses, water security problems, sea level rises, and more severe and frequent wild weather as we move on into this whole notion of what's happening in the environment. The Gigabit-Age not only gives us the bandwidth to deliver more resource solutions than today, but it gives us the capacity to aggregate and, more importantly, automate resource conservation. For us in the industry, video conferencing instead of travel is a must-do. Last year at Telstra, we had 7,500 video conferences lasting 20,000 hours, saving considerable air and road travel expenses. It is about carbon abatement, and it is leveraging the technologies that we have today. The Gigabit-Age will facilitate a host of new bandwidth ravenous applications and devices. We're not limited by anything really anymore. We're already starting to see this in our next G network. The number of diverse applications we're seeing is just, I mean, it's one of the most impressive things I've seen in my 30+ years in this industry. So, our job is about enablement. Our job is about making it happen. So, in this case with Australia, we need to be in a position where all the information that we have at our hands is captured for real-time uploads, downloads using intelligent devices, managed for storing, caching, processing, and filtering, distributed for transmission over next-generation fixed and wireless networks. In capturing, managing, and distributing information, these functions must be integrated in terms of applications and services, and flexible, so communications are device and network agnostic, reliable, so that people can rely on the networks working whenever they need them, scalable for growth, requiring high speeds and low latency, secure so that confidential data is not compromised, and widely available to the majority of the population. And if you didn't hear me say this before, there's a word here that always goes with this: fast. Which means the carrier grade only Telstra has the capacity and proven capabilities to undertake much of this nation building task, but not by ourselves. So who's going to be the winners of the Gigabit-Age? Consumers, businesses, governments, nonprofits. Everyone can be the beneficiaries of this Gigabit-Age, because we're going to provide paradigm-changing products, services, experiences, and capabilities. And all of that can only happen when there is a climate for investment. You can look around the globe. You can look at the various countries and rank them, whether it be on the wireless side, on the fixed line side, on the cable side, wherever it might be. Everything that's part of this evolution requires investment. And the ecosystem also has to be reflective of an environment where companies do have fundamental economics that incent them to invest. And that's also part of the story and part of the message as we think about the future here in Australia. We've invested billions of dollars here in the last 3 years to take Australia to another level as Telstra. We've done it with the economics that we think make sense for our shareholders. We think that there's more that can be done. And part of that is then affected in terms of future policy, whether it be Telstra or anybody else. It's about policy, and policies that are in place that encourage investment or discourage investment. I think so far we have demonstrated that we can deliver, that we can break the paradigms, and that we can do things that lead the world in terms of capabilities and services. But we have also learned some other things, that what we do by ourselves is not enough. There are many other players in that ecosystem that also have to play their role and their part in unique ways. So, I want to encourage, hopefully, some debate, some dialogue, some real discussion around some of these topics as this conference goes forward. Because at Telstra, we are spending our time investing and thinking about this gigabit future. because I think that Australia as an economy is highly dependent, perhaps more than almost any other country I can think of, given the distance, the density, and the remoteness of where Australia sits in this global economy than almost anywhere else. So the question ultimately for all of us in the room is, do we choose to follow or to lead? And I can tell you at Telstra, the answer is easy. We know what that answer is, and it is about leading not only the market here in Australia, but it's being competitive globally and leading the world as we're doing today. If you look at the wireless space and as you look at the integration, and all of that is going to be good for Australia as we go forward.